I keep forgetting what we've been up to with this thing, but one improvement we've made is to fit bolts to the boiler rather than I think this cab was pop riveted onto the back of the boiler. What we've got in here are bolts, and the sight glass is in there, so you can just take off the nuts without having to remove pop rivets each time you want to take the boiler out. Look at it from the side so you can see this. I think they're just bolts, and they were dropped in through the sight glass hole, fiddled around with until they came out, and then fixed in place. It's proving quite tricky to take the frame, the representation of side tanks, off, because the rivets we used to reassemble it last time left a steel pin in the middle. It didn't completely pull the pin out. Anyway, there we go. That's the issue with using pop rivets. The ones in the back, we did use smaller rivets in the back, but I think we drilled the hole out here to take our slightly larger rivets, and that's because the original Mamod ones were very small indeed. As you can see on the roof, they're particularly small, the rivets, and not the easiest to get hold of, so we enlarged the hole in order to put these larger rivets in, and then painted them. Well, my friend whose loco is painted them. Looks a bit of a mess, but what you have to do is pop rivet 1 and 2, which are at the back and hold the bottom of the cab on there, and then 2 this side, 2 the other side, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's 6 pop rivets to release whatever it is that comes through into the back here. As I say, we've got a couple of bolts coming through there. I can't remember whether it was pop rivets in the first instance or whether it was bolts all along. And then we're in a position to be able to fiddle this thing apart. I don't think we have to take any other pop rivets or anything about. And remember, at the moment, the boiler is still trapped in by that curvature. So obviously if it will go back, I'll be able to free it from there. And I don't think we have in the past taken out the pop rivets which are down at the bottom of this front part. In there, there's a pop rivet which would free this plate thing off at the front. But I don't think we've taken that off before. So I'm just jiggling about to see what needs to progress. Right. You have to jiggle the inline oiler a bit so that the filling cap comes out of there. I guess you could take the filling cap off out of that. I was able to twist it enough without damaging anything. And then this comes free. It's just the knob on that holding it on. And now we've got the top casing off. There we go. 6 pop rivets and that comes free. Yep, don't know what I have to say anymore about that. The boiler is now a little bit loose. It won't come free while it's trapped in with this. You would need a very tight angled pop riveter to get into there, unless you replaced it with one from below. So I don't think we've done that. And now we can see the boiler a little bit better. So there we go. We had a Summerlands chopper down the pipe, which was trapping the boiler. Dropped the Summerlands chopper off. You can see the ceramic gas burner there. The pipe from the inline oiler to the valve at the front, which controls the direction, is still intact and left. And what we have is the boiler itself there. And you could just buy a new boiler, they're not cheap, and insert a new boiler. The connections to the boiler are simply the outlet for the steam there. That's it, isn't it? Just the steam outlet from the boiler. That's the only physical connection. The other connection is just for the exhaust to go up the chimney, and we had a Summerlands chuffer in this one. So that provides the boiler free of the device, and I can now work on this and identify exactly what it is that's causing the leak from around the sight glass gasket. And as you can see, we had soldered in a couple of bolts. I think the last time we took it apart, we did that in order to improve the fitting and removal of the boiler. Bit of good old fairy liquid. It's not bubbling as I was hoping it would. I can hear it, I can feel it when I hold my face near it, but we're not getting the big bubbles with the fairy liquid. As with bicycle inner tubes, the next phase is to relocate to the kitchen and put it under water. Not so easy for me to pump and hold the camera and hold this at the right angle underwater, but that has helped in terms of determining where the leaks are, or where the leak is. And that sight glass seal is a fairly readily available consumer replacement part, but as I say, that's the second or third seal we've had in. One would assume we were not very good engineers, but we have tried to do it correctly. Let's see how we get on this time. Well, the good news, if there be any, is that the leak is not from the sight glass, but is from that left-hand bolt, from around the solder joint of that left-hand bolt. That means that we did fit the gasket and the sight glass back securely, but what we need to do is to resolder the joint around that bolt in the back of the boiler, and that should make the job a good one. Let me just try and put some air into it just to show you. Hardly shows you, but right, now we've tested it and it doesn't appear to be any leakage from the back at the moment, but this is cold and just bike pump pressure. So reassembly, reverse of taking apart. It's a matter of fiddling this over that regulator knob, fiddling it over the oil filler and getting that back on. That's about 10 psi on the track pump. That will run. I think I've stalled it. What have I done? I just stalled it. No, it's camera shy. That's it. Have we run out of? Oh, maybe it needs more. Ah. It's about 10 psi.